we talked earlier about disconnection. Of course, that's one of the main themes in the book. But what I saw in my own self in interviewing the women and writing the book was that we adults tend to disconnect from our own childhood.
Yeah.
We don't see the thing from the child's perspective. We have our own issues. We're carrying our own traumas. If we're a working parent, we're home, we're exhausted, we're just trying to get dinner on. And we miss all sorts of opportunities to connect with our child. You are not your story. You can change your story.
Just a little taster of what is coming up on the show. But first, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. And also tell your friends and family about this podcast. Please let us know in the comments if you would like to hear any particular topic in relation to sleep or health. And I will create a show especially for you, just for asking the question. So let's get on with the show. Welcome everybody back once again to the Empowering Family Health podcast. You know, I love doing this show and I love interviewing and speaking to my guests because, you know, every conversation has some empowering element to it. And today on the show, I have the wonderful Mia Doucet. Right here with this lady has been up to, and then we'll bring Mia in to have a conversation with her. Today we're going to talk all about women and early childhood traumas and resilience. And it's a big conversation, and especially around women. So let me read you out Mia's bio. She's a mentor to women business owners who, while successful, they're very deeply unhappy. And I think an awful lot of women can relate to that. She's a founding member and director of Women's Global Alliance, and she has a passion for connecting with women worldwide. She's a multi-award winning best-selling author. She has written on a diverse number of topics ranging from doing business with Asian cultures to energy psychology to childhood trauma. And her latest book, Strong, is Strong Successful Women Share Stories of Childhood Trauma and Triumph. And it captures her love, her fascination and her deep interest in children and the impact of disconnection on their lives. And her goal with Strong is to positively affect the lives of 1 million girls and women. Mia, you're very welcome to the podcast.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here, Johann.
I know we've tried a couple of times to get this recording done, and I'm absolutely really excited. I really am genuinely excited because the topic of conversation that we're going to talk about today, I think every woman can, and like men as well, like, you know, when we talk about trauma, it is something that, you know, many of us have experienced, and there's different levels of trauma. But first, before we dive into this intriguing conversation, Mia, can you give us a little background? Because I'm always curious to know why you are where you are now on your journey today. So just give us a little bit of background.
Oh, I wouldn't know where to start. And start with my fascination with children began when I was 18 and going to university. And I took Psychology 101. And the woman teaching the course was the Dean of Women. She was also a nun. She was also a medical doctor, if you can believe it.
Wow.
And she's talking about the importance of toilet training. And I'm thinking, what connection does this have to psychology? And she just opened up a whole world to me, you know, because that has to do with values training, right? It has to do with the relationship between the mother and the child being toilet trained. And I guess I didn't think of it at the time, and I'm thinking of it just now. It has to do with connection too.
Yeah.
Connection between the mother and the child is so strong. And the stories in my book that you just referred to almost universally point to a disconnection. And so trauma is a form of disconnection. So it's essentially a disconnection from the self, right?
Yeah.
But it's that disconnection in relationships that affects us for our entire lifetime, unless it's something that we get some deep work done.
Yeah. And, life isn't easy as we've often heard. We have ups and downs and challenges and, challenges and obstacles in our lives. But when it comes to childhood traumas and, there's various different types of traumas, right? Different levels that I mentioned earlier on, right? And I think it's down to our perspective, different perspectives on how we perceive it, but also our resilience and how we regulate. It comes down to many things. So what is it that you have discovered? What is it that you've seen, Mia, when it comes to traumas, and how far does it go back? And can you tell us a little bit about, how they've evolved and how it affects people in their lives?
Oh, wow. That is a loaded question. I'm working now with a woman whose trauma, believe it or not, goes back to her birth mother. Her birth mother was only 15 or 16 when my client was born. And we've sorted out that she loved this child and was very traumatized at having to give her up.
I bet.
At 6 weeks of age. And all the trials and tribulations that my client has gone through for her entire life can trace back to that disconnection.
Yeah.
It can start very early.
And it can be with her whole life.
I have a story in my book too. Well, I have more than one about intergenerational trauma. So in this instance, this person's mother was responsible, so she felt, for an accident that resulted in 5 family members being killed. She was the only survivor of it. And that impact on her 2 children was devastating. Yeah. She totally disconnected from life. She just felt that life was not worth living. And that's the message that was sent on to her daughters.
Why do we disconnect, Mia? I mean, is it a form of coping? Because that's the familiar thing, that the common thing that happens is disconnection. So why do we do this disconnection? Because we're not consciously doing it.
No, that's right. I think, and this of course goes back to Maslow and before, the most important thing for us is safety and security.
Yeah.
We need that as a basis, right? And we do it as a form of self-protection. And here's the thing, it protects us in the moment. And so it's an excellent coping skill, but it becomes dysfunctional when carried too far, or in taken out of context, or when that need to be protected is no longer present.
Right. Yeah. So the brain, it's like the brain is, so it's like a maladaptive way that the brain is trying to protect us just in case this happens again. So we're expecting, we always have that expectation of something. So that the stress mechanism and all that is supposed to keep us safe in the moment, but we continue it on through our life, basically, when there's trauma or something that happens.
Exactly. And one of the reasons we continue it on in our life is that it becomes unconscious.
Yeah. And I know in your book, you just showed me before we pressed record, I asked you, have you ever heard of Gabor Mate? Because he talks an awful lot about trauma and disconnection and addiction and childhood trauma. And I follow him quite an awful lot. And I wrote down a few things, and I was sharing it with you. Trauma is not the bad things that happened to you, but it's what happens inside of you as a result of what happened to you. And you said to me, Joanne, I have this written on the back of the book. And I was like, oh my God, because that's exactly what trauma is. If you were to sum it up, it's not what actually happened to you. It's what happens inside of you, the emotions that stay with you forever. They're we can't, they're unresolved trauma. That's where unresolved trauma comes from, basically, isn't it? Yeah. I want to talk to you about your book. So your book is called Strong, and as overall, it's an incredible, and I've yet to read it. I've yet to read it, but you've shared with me so many stories And I was like, oh my God, Mia, I have to have this conversation with you on a podcast and share this book of yours with all these stories that you have inside it, because it's not just any ordinary book. This is a collection of over 100 women who you sat down and you had an interview with, and it wasn't just any story. This was a trauma-based story from a real life experience that these women had. What was that like, Mia, sitting down with all these women and having that conversation and then getting it to print?
I love the interview process. And this is a topic that's top of mind for me. So the interview part of it was wonderful. And I loved the connection with the women. And I loved the trust that they showed in allowing me to write their story and tell their story. So sometimes I interviewed for 2 or 3 hours, and then I wrote their story in 375 words, So that part was hard. It's easier to write long than it is to write short, right?
Yeah.
And then I had drawings done. I wanted to illustrate the drawing, the stories from the point of view of the child. And I should mention that I only selected stories that were under age 8 and under for the book. And that's why I interviewed over 100 women, but I have published 81 of the stories. If you're ever crazy enough to write another book, it might be one on preteen and teen trauma.
Yeah. Absolutely, because it's everywhere, isn't it? At every age. It really is. Yeah. Can you show us some example? Do you have the book there that you can show up?
Well, I have the book there.
Already. That's it there.
Holding it at the right height.
Show me some pictures and slides. Do you have a picture and slide that you can show us? Because you show it to
I have or pictures. Every story has a picture.
Okay. Fantastic. I really, that really struck me, Mia, when you showed that to me the last time that we were speaking, because it's kind of animated and they're fun like pictures, because it's a serious topic that we're talking about. And it brings colour into a very dark conversation. So that's what really is, stood out for me. Like it's very very well done, the book is. Who did you get to illustrate the book for you?
My illustrator is from Indonesia, and he doesn't speak English.
Right.
So that was the most difficult part.
I can imagine. Yeah,
communicating, because and this was interesting in doing the drawings. I was having to sketch out, and I was so taken with how every woman was deeply connected to the drawing, and that every feature of the drawing had to be accurate.
Yeah.
The facial expression. The police were in front of the windows. No, the sofa was this color, and I was hanging from my mother's chair this way. It was, so trying to convey that to an artist who doesn't speak English, but I love his drawings. I'm so happy with how they turned out.
The ability to rest is the body's key to healing. Do you struggle with getting asleep at nighttime, or staying asleep during the night and waking up the next morning feeling absolutely exhausted? My book, How to Get a Good Night's Sleep, is easy to understand. It's solution-based and it's packed with research to help you take back control of your night's sleep. My book is available on Amazon, and it's also available on howtogetagoodnightsleep.com. This book is also available in audio and ebook. So get your copy today and start having the best night's sleep that you've only ever dreamed of. Say, I can imagine that's a lot of, it's not just any picture that you pull down like a stock image. It's customized, created around the story of the person.
And the emotion. I think that the pictures are very emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think there's something, Mia, in that, that you really cared, and you're really facilitating these authors, these co-authors in your book, because it seems to me that you were really minding them through the process, and you really want to illustrate their story and through picture, because the mind and the brain, when we see an image, it dictates, a feeling, an emotion inside us, and it can really convey the story through the image while we're reading the passage as well.
Yes. It was important to me that the drawing convey exactly what the child saw.
Yeah.
So it was my story from the point of view of a child, age 5, age 4, age 7.
Can you give us an example of one of the stories, one of your, I was going to say one of your favorite stories, but they're all going to be exceptional stories. But can you give us an example of one of the stories to give us an idea of what kind of things we can expect from the book?
Okay. So I'll give you this story because it's the first story in the book. I have 80 favorite stories.
Yeah, yeah. So there can't be one. Yeah.
Yesterday I read a story because I was in touch with one of the women in the book, and I read her story, and it gave me chills. So each story has me in its grasp. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in the book. So the first story takes place in Italy, and by the way, the stories take place in 22 different countries on 5 continents.
Wow!
Yeah. So this takes place in Italy, and the child in the story, her mother plays poker and smokes and has a life of her own. She's the first person in Italy to own her own car, and she's never home. And so she puts Loretta, her child, into the care, and Loretta says, "I like to think she didn't know that she was putting me in the care of a prostitute." And so Loretta gets raised on the streets of Milan. And her picture, well, let me show you her picture.
Yeah.
She is sitting on a bar stool, waiting for her mother. Can you see that?
Yeah, hold it up a tiny, yeah, perfect. Yeah.
You can see her mother in the background there with the long red fingernails, and she's got a cigarette hanging out of her hand.
Right.
And she's playing poker with the men till all hours of the morning. And the person in the story is just so delighted to be with her mother. Anyway, Loretta, this child from such a deprived background, becomes so empowered, she becomes Apple Computer's top salesperson.
No way.
Yes. Yeah.
Who would have thought? Yes. Oh my God.
Who would have thought?
Wow.
And today you speak to her and she's the warmest human being.
Wow.
No. Yeah.
It's a funny thing that people who have gone through this pain and suffering, that when they come out the other side and they embrace that and they use that to serve others and to become a better person, it's like, the worst kind of situation you can possibly be in, it can actually evolve you into something better and stronger because of all that stuff that you've had to overcome. And there's a lot of coaches now and, people like yourself or, that have come through some kind of trauma or something that are now helping other people because they have learned and grown through their own pain and they don't want to see other people suffering with something similar. And everybody is unique. Everyone has an individual story, but yet we can all share the same emotions.
Yeah. It's no different really from your building your business.
Yeah.
Get a good night's sleep based on your own traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Right?
I've had my own experiences as well. Yeah. It's funny you were talking at the very beginning about the woman who had a child so young. That was me too. So I could totally relate. When I was 16, I had a child at 16, so I could totally relate to that. And it's funny, like when you're as you're sharing those stories and about the young girl Loretta who was raised on the streets of Milan, I'm sure that somebody listening on this podcast here can relate to that or knows somebody who is in a similar situation. And I think there's something vulnerable Mia, about being able to share those stories, because, you know, a lot of people judge, and, as women as well, especially, we don't like to be judged. We like to be accepted. Especially women, for some reason, we don't like that judgment, and we do this people pleasing thing, and it can be very vulnerable to share a personal story like that.
Yes. And not everyone can, and not everyone would be willing. In fact, I had maybe 3 or 4 instances of interviewing a person, getting the picture drawn, and I always, after writing the story, I would always go back to the person and get full approval.
Yeah.
Because there's not one word in a person's story that she hasn't approved. That was important to me. And I had 3 or 4 women say, I can't publish this.
Yeah. I'm not surprised, Mia. That's a big...
No, it's not surprising.
Yeah.
No. And sometimes it's because they don't want to hurt others in their family.
That is true. Yeah, that's very true. I had a bit of that too. Yeah. Yeah. It's, because, there's a lot to unpack there. And it can be frustrating, because if you want to say something, if you want to share something, and then, people around you might hold you back, or you're worried about what would happen to them as a result of, and there's all this stuff like going on. So I totally get that.
It always goes back to connection.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't want to offend someone in my family, because what does that do? It disconnects me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I need connection as a human being. So so I can understand that. Some women just frankly didn't care. This is my story. This is what happened. And in 1 or 2 instances, I didn't know about this until after the book was published. But in 1 or 2 instances, and I took him to court.
Wow.
And I won. Yeah.
Wow.
So everyone has a different motivation.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Tell us this, Mia. Right. So all these women that you've helped in the book, they say that writing and sharing your story helps to heal the wounds. Have you had any experience of that with some of the people who have written in your book?
Well, that can go 2 ways. Talking about an experience or writing about an experience, if you don't go the next step and heal it, can just drive it further into the consciousness, into your subconscious.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, and a lot of therapy modalities, like talk therapy, unless it comes to a resolution, doesn't get rid of the trauma at all.
Yeah. Yeah, because let's face it, they're very deep. We've had these wounds for a very, very long time, and they're literally driving us who we are, our personality.
And every time we think about it or talk about it, we drive it deeper.
So you do psychology therapies. What kind of work do you do with people, or do you do like energy therapies? And I've heard of energy like EFT and all these modalities, and then there's even deeper ones.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do both. So I do EFT and faster EFT whenever there's an emotional trigger, because that's the fastest way to bring a person down, to calm. And then I am able to change the subconscious at the core level. So I'm able to heal trauma at the core level, and it's the easiest, quickest, most efficient way of doing it. It's painless. You don't have to relive it.
Do you know what you just said there about the subconscious? Because we've heard of all these, positive thinking and affirmations and all of this, and sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that sits with me as like that's hard work, and sometimes the brain doesn't believe that, but it's the subconscious that is not believing it, and you can keep saying it, but there has to be an emotional, a reframing almost, a different perspective of what happened, or changing the meaning of what happened which is in the subconscious part of it, that needs to be rewritten, like unlearned and rewritten.
Yeah, I think the reason affirmations don't work, when they don't work, is that the subconscious has a different belief.
Yeah.
So even if emotionally, even if I say my I'm kind of manifest emotionally, saying my affirmations emotionally. If my subconscious, which is 95% of what goes on with me, conscious is only 5% at the most. If my subconscious is in contradiction to what I'm saying, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I think that's really important for people to understand, because it's deep in the subconscious and the beliefs and the emotions, and it's all that. Yeah,
The good news is it can be changed.
Yeah, yeah. And do you do this? I tell people, at night time, two of the best times to access the subconscious is first thing in the morning when you wake up, and last thing at night as you are falling asleep, because the brain waves slow down and the brain waves change, and it brings you closer to that subconscious. And they're two of the best times to change the subconscious. Would you agree with that, Mia? Obviously, there's a lot more.
It works for some people.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I think every therapy, every approach is excellent in that it works for some people.
Brilliant. And you have to enjoy it as well.
Enjoy it?
Yeah. Well, when I say enjoy it, it has to kind of resonate with them. Some people wouldn't be bothered with doing meditations, is what I mean. Some people would run a mile if you said meditation to them. Some people like talk therapy. Some people feel it takes too long.
Yeah. I have worked with women who've had up to 35 years of therapy and psychotherapy.
Wow.
That's too long.
Yeah.
That is too long.
That's like a life sentence. That is too long. Oh my God. Yeah. Tell us, so you've had some good outcomes, and I'm sure you've got some great relationships with some of these people in your book.
Yes. I want to clarify one thing, Joanne. Not every woman in the book is a client.
Gotcha.
Not every woman is a client.
Okay.
Any of them are.
Yeah. So do you have, I'm sure you have really close relationships with an awful lot of these people as a result of all the work that you've done with them, because it takes something to, trust, and a really, to trust and to be able to relate to somebody, to do this kind of work.
Yes. I've had many, many, many women tell me that I'm their best friend.
Yeah.
And it is because of deep trust.
And many aspects, you could say you've saved their life. It's a big statement.
Or the life is so enhanced now. Life is so much better.
Yeah, they're free. They're free.
They feel free.
You have a free gift, Mia, that you want to share with the audience. It's your manifesto. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where they can get it?
Yes, they can get it by going to my website. I'll give you the name of my website in a moment. It's my own name. And then manifesto. So miadoucet.com/manifesto.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we'll put that in the show notes as well, so people can download. And can you give us a little insight of what's in that, what they can expect from it?
It is a full color, almost a poster that you can print if you want. And it's all sorts of empowering statements for women.
Love it.
Like, and I've got this one with little cartoon characters, the same type of characters that appear in this book. Never put yourself down, not even in jest, is one of them, for example. So it's just crowded with wonderful statements like that, not one of which is from me. They're all, we know these.
Yeah. No, that's because the empowering statements, I have them all over my house in little plaques and stuff. I have them all over the house, even in the bathroom.
I am going to send you my manifesto.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, because, we always need to be empowered, and women have a lot of work to do in the world, and over the years, women have been suppressed, put down, and we have gifts. And look, men, this is not a man and woman thing, because men are great at certain things, but women their gifts have been lost over the generations, I feel. And we're living in an era now where women are rising up, and women are becoming more empowered, and women are collaborating with each other and helping each other out, because we can't do this work alone in the world. It takes something to have success and to achieve what it is we're setting out for. And one of those things is to ask for help and to work with other people who have the same mission, who are aligned with the same mission that you have. And this leads me nicely into your goal, which is you want to reach 1 million girls and women with your book, and to help women. So can you tell us how people can help you to achieve your goal, Mia? Because, you know, this is going to be broadcasted out on YouTube and all the audio platforms as well. So you may have just that one person who can really, really help, you know, with that trajectory of your goals. So what is that? How can people help you with that?
That is so lovely of you to ask. I have the book, the electronic version right now is just $1.99. It'll be much higher later, but it's promotional, $1.99. If people will download it and write a review, because once I have 100 reviews or more is when I'll be going out to get, you know, in search of sponsorships. So organizations, educational associations, anyone who works with families, for example, so that the children can be given these books, or the parents. It's as much the parents, right? We talked earlier about disconnection. Of course, that's one of the main themes in the book. But what I saw in my own self in interviewing the women and writing the book was that we adults tend to disconnect from our own childhood.
Yeah.
We don't see the thing from the child's perspective. We have our own issues. We're carrying our own traumas. If we're a working parent, we're home, we're exhausted. We're just trying to get dinner on. And we miss all sorts of opportunities to connect with our child.
That is such an important point, because we can look through our own lenses and our own perspective, our own view of the world, the place where we are, where we're standing right there, you know, what's going on for us. And that's all that we know. We know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's going on inside our child's mind. And the lens.
I'm telling you, Joanne, that was the painful part of writing the book for me.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Was that realization. I have 3 children. Was the realization that I had missed so many opportunities. To really be there for them.
Yes, I really get that. And then we're dealing with the mummy guilt and all of that. But what you can do now, Mia, and hundreds and thousands of other women, millions of women, can take this information and do good with it now and share, like, I know the answer, and share it. And it's not about knowing it, it's practicing it and continuously practicing and continuously being conscious of it. Like, it's daily work, it's daily progress, but it's all growing. And the more we use and the more we're conscious, you know, about our children and different perspectives and all that kind of stuff, you know, and we inherit an awful lot of our stuff going back generations, and it's not our fault.
Very much.
Yeah, it's not our fault. So, because we can tend to blame and feel responsible for this, you know, as a mother or a parent, but it's not our fault, you know, and we've been taught by society as well, and our teachers and social media. So we've got to be mindful of all that as well, how we're being influenced and the environment that we have around us and how it's influenced, and the environment that is around our children today as well, and how that's influencing them too. That's a big, huge part of growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me started about mobile phones. Be here for another hour. But yeah, it's all of that. So it's you know, and it takes something to be a parent, and it takes something to be a working parent and a working mum, because the mothers really are the caring, nurturing. We are leaders in our family home, you know, and we were born to be leaders, I think, you know, because we're already doing it in our homes. So we're absolutely amazing. Women are absolutely amazing. I think they're just undervalued, under-recognised, underappreciated. I really
You are women's best advocate. You know that?
Go women. That's why I want you to meet Deb Drummond. I'm going to connect you with Deb Drummond and the founder of the 262 Women's Project. So again, just a shout out to Deb Drummond and the amazing work she's doing in the world, and she's helping, you know, create this. She's helping women to be sustainable, and she's providing platforms for women to have this sustainability. And she's just doing summits after summits. I'm a co-author in her book, and she's doing a quotes planner, and she's coming over to Ireland in a couple of months. And anyway, this is not about Deborah right now, but I just wanted to give a big shout out, and like, she is truly an amazing, incredible woman, and I'm just so blessed. But I'm introduced as many powerful women like yourself, Mia, to Deb, because she's an incredible woman. So we will get that set up for you. But we're coming to the end, and I just want to ask Mia, so we're going to put all those links in the show notes, and help get people to download the ebook, the electronic version, and to have a read through some of the stories and give a review. And if a 5-star review, if you think that's worthy of it, which I'm sure you will when you read some of the stories. I'm going to get a copy of it. But it's just a fantastic collection of over 100 women that you've interviewed, and the process, and to care and nurture all the people through that process as well, and even yourself going through it, and what you want to do with that book and bring to the next level and help even more girls and women is just truly remarkable. But I just want to finish, Mia, and ask you, what one empowering message, because I think we need to keep continuously empowering women all over the world to really step up and show up and be at their best, and to know that they can do it, and we all have each other's back. So what one empowering message would you leave with our women today?
I would say, you are not your story. You can change your story.
Oh gosh, that is incredible. Yeah, powerful. You are not your story. You can change.
You have more power than we know.
Oh my goodness. That was a big insight that I got about 12 years ago, that started me on this journey. Was I realized how powerful that I am. And again, it was back to perspectives. It was back to perspectives, how I was seeing things, how I was viewing the world. So we are more powerful than we know. That's a great message to leave our women audience listeners, and even the men, because the men support women too. We support each other. But so it's just an incredible story, Mia. It's so great to have you on and share your story and all the work that you're doing in the world. And I wish you the very best, Mia, and success going forward, because you deserve it. And I wish there were more women like you, because it takes courage to do the work that you're doing. Truly, it does. It takes courage. To have these big asks, and to ask people to help you out with this as well, so you can continually help more women in the world. So Mia, on that note, thank you so much for being here.
Well, it was my absolute delight, Joanne.
Great.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, it really was truly a great conversation. So Mia, listen, have a great day, and I will be in touch with you, and we'll talk soon again.
Excellent.
I do hope you are enjoying these conversations, and to help me continue pushing these videos and audio podcasts together, I do have an ask. I do need support to help me to keep bringing you knowledge and insights. There is a Patreon link, patreon.com/empowering family health, or you can make a donation via PayPal. All the links are in the description and the pinned comment. You can do a one-off, or you can do a monthly support. So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Take care.